What is good, y'all? I'm here to talk about the changes and buffs I've made for my boy Ursaring. So if you're curious about either of the Ursa Luna forms, if you look on screen, I'm going to quickly show them on the screen, but they're going to have their own deep dive videos where I talk about them for, 10, 15, 20 minutes. So check those videos out after this one. But this is normal Ursa Luna. And again, I will explain them much more in depth in their own videos, and I'll be able to compare the three a lot better. And this is Blood Moon Ursa Luna, which I know this is a lot to unpack. Again, they'll have their own video explaining, the type change and the abilities and all the moves and stuff. But I want to quickly show those at the beginning of the video because I know people are going to ask, what about Ursa Luna? So in this ROM hack, every single Pokemon is heavily reworked. I give them all really cool new tools and changes, and a lot of that comes from the moves in the game. So if you're new here, first of all, I recommend you pause the video and read the description. I've got a bullet point list explaining all of the philosophies behind the ROM hack and the way I balance it. And then most importantly, when you're done with the video, I have a move guide on the Google Sheet, which is also linked down below. And you can check all that out and look at all the categories for all the moves and be able to figure out like what the moves do now, because every move is like, for the most part, recategorized or changed in some way. Not every single one, but a lot of them. So yeah, Ursaring is by far the fastest of the three. So a lot of Pokemon that have, like, especially ones that are cross-generational evolutions, I try very hard to differentiate the pre-evolved forms from the evolved form, and also just if I like that middle evolution, or I think they're like distinct from the evolutions, or like if they're a middle evolution pseudo-legendary. Point is, a lot of NFE Pokemon in this ROM hack are specifically designed to be options over their evolved counterparts, which might be new for a lot of people who just think, oh, the evolutions are going to always be better, but that's not the case. So in this case, Ursaring is pure normal as opposed to either normal ground or dark ground. Again, the ground typing comes from the fact that they're covered in like peat, right? In peat moss. So Ursaring makes perfect sense to stay pure normal. However, Ursaring is, again, by far the fastest. It's also very bulky with a Violet, but it doesn't have any resistances because it's pure normal, so it kind of evens out there. However, it has Intimidate while the other two have Battle Armor. Which you can choose for yourself what you prefer. I mean, Battle Armor is also incredible for Nuzlockes and in-games, as so is Intimidate, so it's really up to you. And then Quick Feet is the main benefit of keeping Ursaring, I would say. Quick Feet is absolutely huge. So if I go to Ursaring here, what am I doing Ursaring? I'm at the 75 speed, yeah. So with Quick Feet, because keep in mind the other two are much slower, right? 60 and 40 speed, right? So, or base Ursa Luna can actually abuse Scarf a little bit better, which is what I will talk about in their video a little bit. But by far the fastest, I mean, it's a huge deal, right? So if you want something faster, definitely would probably rather keep base Ursaring, which also makes sense given like their pose and their stature. It makes sense for them to be way faster than the other two. And yeah, Quick Feet with 20 speed IVs and a neutral speed nature is hitting 357 speed, which means on the AI, which is always going to have, the highest possible nature and the best speed IVs if they're a fast Pokemon, it means you're outspeeding base 112 and below. So that's great, right? Your Ursaring essentially has base 112 speed, and that's if you get, the 80% chance to not get a plus speed, or technically it's a 60% chance to get a neutral speed nature, because there's a 20% chance you get a minus speed and 20% chance you get a plus speed. So point being, though, unless you get a plus speed nature, that's probably what you're going to be hitting. If you get a minus speed nature, it's probably better not to keep Ursaring at that point. But and also keep in mind, you're using this up until level 45 anyways, so even if you evolve right away, you're still getting, about half of the game you're using Ursaring for, which is fun. I'm getting some notifications. Okay, I'll check that later. So yeah, 75 speed's great, and then if you get a lucky plus speed nature, you're outspeeding the whole damn game. Like pretty much every single AI Pokemon, you're hitting, anything with 120, 128 and below speed. So the vast majority of the game you're outspeeding if you get plus speed, which is like insane. But even without it, it's still great. Obviously, Choice Scarf is an option too, but you can't run Choice Scarf with Guts unless you do some like super technical shenanigans with like getting the AI to status you. Obviously, pre-status is banned. That's what that little disclaimer means behind underneath the ability. It just means that you can't do pre-status stuff. Yeah, so that's really fun. And Intimidate is just good old reliable Intimidate. Honestly, Guts is not that good. I would say Guts is best with like Trailblaze. They don't get any stat priority because I don't see Ursa Luna using Quick Attack at all. I could see Ursaring maybe, but not Ursa Luna, so that's why I opted not to give them Quick Attack. But they do get First Impression. They do get Befuddle, which is Fairy type Shadow Sneak. So they do get, and they get Air Release, which is also Flying type quick attack basically. So those are all, you know, good priority options with Guts. And then, if you need to KO something that's like really slow and bulky, then you could definitely take advantage of Guts. But I would say the main thing that Ursaring has is that quick feet Facade, and just quick feet in general is really, really useful to be able to outspeed and switch between your coverage moves as well, because with Move Relinner, having all this crazy coverage is like super valuable. You can just hit pretty much everything super effectively and go from there. And then you've also got that, that Guts for that occasional extra power boost, but I would say that is probably the least used of his durability slots. And yeah, Intimidate's great, Violite's great, so very versatile, right? He can be bulky or fast. And then Teddy Ursa themselves is fun. So they got Appetite because the Pokedex talks about them like loving to eat honey. It's like the vast majority of their dex entries is like licking honey and whatever. And it's just a cool little early game. I mean, it's good. It's a good ability for the whole game, but it's cool on Teddy Ursa for the early game. You know, you've got double Citrus Berry, double Key Berry, double Moringa Berry for bulk. You can do double Papaya Berry for, Select Berry for speed, double Lychee Berry for attack. All that stuff is very fun. And then you can still abuse Quick Feet Toxic Orb early on with Teddy Ursa, which is good, especially because you get the Facade TM relatively early on. 3 badges is very, like, that's roughly, yeah, it's like in your mid-20s to up to level 30. From 27 to 30, that's the roughly the range you'll be getting Facade. So that's really, really strong on even Teddy Ursa. And even before you get Facade, Quick Feet is still great just because it's, number one, it's before you get access to a Choice Scarf, because you probably won't get access to that until, like, I would probably have to guess, like, maybe the 30s-ish at the earliest. Haven't actually placed items yet in the hack, that's for later in development, but something like that. So Quick Feet's great for that, and then of course it's good because you can switch your moves. Not to mention Item Clause means that often you'll be having to use your Choice Scarf on somebody else, which means it's nice to be able to run Quick Feet to get that same speed boost, but also have the freedom of swapping moves. Of course, yes, you do take some recoil from the Toxic Orb, but this isn't like competitive where that recoil or that healing, that HP loss is like a big deal. It's pretty easy to count turns and like just ensure that you don't kill yourself to Toxic ever. It's pretty easy to do. Obviously, it's something to keep in mind. If you're trying to get like 5 kills in a row, then yeah, you're going to die to Toxic eventually, but in most cases it won't matter very much. And yeah, Hustle is just it's kind of similar to Guts, although instead of requiring an orb, it requires a wide lens. However, the benefit of Hustle over Guts, the benefit of Guts is that it boosts Facade, but it takes up your item slot still, while Hustle doesn't have to take up your item slot if you use some of the limited moves that don't miss. So in this case, you've got Befuddle, Aerial Ace, Heavy Slam, Heat Crash, Shadow Punch, Stomping Tantrum, First Impression, Sucker Punch, Lunge, and that's basically it that doesn't miss on Teddy Ursa. So you can use those moves as well. And of course, you still have your good old reliable wide lens. I should also give them Home Claws. I just realized. Forgot to throw that on there. We'll throw on Home Claws. Put you on listen, put Home Claws at 18, sure. So that's a fun little option too. We also put that into game files real quick, Teddy Ursa. So yeah, I can keep talking while I do this, hopefully. See if I can multitask or not. Honestly, I've pretty much covered anything anyways. They've got, like, strong stab, they've got strong coverage, Temper Flare, Stone Edge, Brutal Bash, Brutal Swing, or Headlong Rush are all like 120 power coverage moves with their own respective drawbacks, either not being able to be used twice in a row, or dealing some recoil damage, or dropping your defensive stats, stuff like that. Hold on, Home Claws at 18. Sorry guys, I am horrible at multitasking, especially when it comes to talking. I cannot talk and do something at the same time, but I don't want to forget to add Home Claws on there. I don't know, there's really not too, honestly, I think I covered pretty much everything anyways. I mean, Teddy Ursa is pretty bulky. 65 base speed with a quick feet boost in the early game is outspeeding the entire game, like you're incredibly fast, which is good. That's always good. I don't know, very straightforward. The evolutions have their own respective like defensive utility with their new typings and the extra resist that come from being a dual type and extra offensive potential, but of course none of them are nearly as fast as Ursaring. Not to mention 130 attack is still plenty strong, despite the others having stronger offensive stats. And it is also, the others are very bulky, but Ursaring is also very bulky with the Violite and Intimidate, so it's really up to you which of the 3 you'd prefer to use. Leave a comment down below if you made it to the end. Again, check out the videos for the other 2 that are coming up in the next day or 2. Stay tuned for those. And I appreciate y'all listening all the way to the end. It really does mean a lot. Also, ignore the format getting messed up here. I was just trying to fix stuff. I know nobody is probably looking at the screen this late into the video anyway. But yeah, drop a comment if you made it to the end. I do appreciate that very much. And I'll be back for more coming up, y'all. Peace.